Okay, hi folks, let's call the Thursday, January 18th, 2024 business meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I have Jim here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thanks. Alan, can we have roll?
Sure. President Bush is absent right now, but he'll be joining us shortly. Vice President Rickards.
Here.
Councilmember Winston.
Here.
Councilmember Burek.
Here.
Councilmember Spear.
Here.
Councilmember Galdini.
Here.
Councilmember Salmonson.
Here.
Mayor Deutsch.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, is there any considerations for agenda additions or changes? Anyone? And we just want to note that we will be going into an executive session when we're done for personnel matter and potential litigation not regarding 201. And we are not going to return after that meeting. Nothing's being decided, so we'll adjourn before that. Okay, let's move to, we'll move maybe Fred's comments. I certainly don't have any. Andrew?
Yes, thank everyone for doing well. I want to thank our public works crew for doing so well during the last storm. And on the heels of that, we're getting another storm. Tomorrow night, it's supposed to start snowing between 4 and 7 a.m. We are currently scheduled to get between 4 and 6 inches of snow. So proactively, we are calling a snow emergency as of 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you are on a snow,
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yep.
Okay, did we move that? 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Okay, as of 7 a.m., excuse me, pardon me. As of 7 a.m., we're calling a snow emergency. If you are parked on a snow emergency route, you have 1 hour to get off that route. Otherwise, you are subject to being ticketed. And that is so that our road crews and our plows can do their job and make the streets safe for everybody. So we really ask for your help in getting off those routes. Where can you park is a question that comes up often. You can park in your driveway if you have a driveway. You can park on streets that where it does not, on the alternate side of the street, provided that there is no parking sign. You can park in legal parking spaces that are off snow emergency routes. We will be suspending the 2-hour rule for parking zones, a 2-hour time limit for parking zones during the emergency to ease up a little bit on parking concerns. So that should help out a bit. You may have to walk a block or two, but please help us help everybody. And also, you have to clear a 36-inch path in front of your sidewalk so that pedestrians can get through. We're going to ask you, please do this. Please salt as need be. Please take care of ice so that pedestrians and kids walking to school and people who need to traverse our sidewalks can do so easily and without danger. We're all in this. We all have to pitch in and help out. If you can help out a neighbor that may be having some struggling to get it done, everybody pitch in, and let's make sure the borough is safe for everybody to travel through. If you are a volunteer who would like to help maybe people who are struggling to clear their sidewalks, please contact me, and I will keep a list of volunteers and people who can help out the elderly, the infirm, or anybody who's just struggling. And let's see if we can all help each other. And that is it.
And just confirming, trash pickup is on until residents are notified otherwise.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's move to public comment. Seeing no one in the room, can we move to Zoom? We'll remind everyone you have 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. We've just moved to public comment.
Thank you.
Hi,
Amy.
I'm on Zoom. Yeah, hi. Hi, good evening. My name is Amy Smith, and I live at 127 Marion Avenue. With the start of the new year, I want to start by saying that my family hopes to work with the new council to improve the electric vehicle charger program, particularly by relocating the 125-127 Marion Avenue charger. We look forward to providing feedback to the council as you finalize the draft policy on the EV charging station pilot program, a process that was started in 2023. As I stated in prior meetings, equitable access and equitable impact are very important when writing this policy. The 127 EV charger should be relocated to a location that is more accessible to both sides of town, preferably placed in the center of town, the business district. Additionally, the onus of this charger's impact should not single out two families in town and create a division between neighbors. Our neighbor, former councilperson Michelle Pananopoulos, in her official capacity as an elected official, asked for the EV charger to be placed in between our homes. But while we are equally affected by her decision, we were not told, nor were we given the opportunity to provide feedback. The process was undemocratic and arbitrary. For reasons that the council is aware of, this EV charger is a real burden to our family and to our street. Right now, the new council has the opportunity to edit the draft policy to account for the misplacement of the 127 EV charger placement and relocate it to a site that would be expected to be visited by the public during normal hours of availability, or to be hosted by Narberth residents who are fully supportive of that location. I would also like to urge the council not to develop Sabine Park and to include it in the Master Parks Plan. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. I think that was it. Okay. Glad all you.
All right. Once again, I apologize. Several years of meeting at 7:30 have drilled it into my head. I will eventually get this right. All right. So let's move on to the consent agenda.
Yep.
Do you want to go back to comments, or do you?
I have no real comments at this time, other than winter weather is here. Take note, the borough sent out a notice reminding people to move vehicles onto that are in the snow emergency areas, and so that the snow plows can get through. Our borough staff will be diligently clearing the streets, but we do need the support of the community in moving your vehicles. And the other weather note was, believe it or not too long ago we had serious rain to the point that other communities in Pennsylvania were flooding. However, due to the diligence, once again, of the borough staff, major flooding has been averted in the borough. And I remember when the park was a duck pond, and streets would regularly flow. My daughter used to like to clear all the gunk out of the storm drains so that they would drain, instead of just making giant ponds, but she no longer has to do that. So good work to the Public Works Department, and I'm sure they'll be working hard on clearing snow all night and tomorrow. So, all right.
I would just say we should also encourage people, even if you're not on a snow emergency street, if you can put your car, if you have a driveway, to put your car in the driveway so that people who don't have driveways and are having to move the car have opportunities. Also, just so that the plows can, do that much more of a job. I know lots of people on my street have extra cars or put their cars regularly on the street even if they have a driveway. This is a good time to put your car in your driveway.
Borough has large public lots here at Borough Hall and at Sabine Park that are free and are available to move your car to if you need to. And just a reminder to also clear your sidewalk once the snow stops coming down.
Andrew covered all this.
All right. Sorry, Andrew.
Well, okay.
You told me to reopen comments, so.
I did not tell you to do that, by the way.
Anyway, it's very nice to go.
But one thing that might be worth repeating that was said earlier is the status of tomorrow's trash pickup.
As of right now, it's still scheduled to be picked up. We should
I'm
know,
going to text my household right now.
and we should know first thing in the morning.
And they did come around today, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but today was easy. Relatively.
All right, so there will be so the borough will notify people if trash is not happening. Assume trash is going out. If it's not going out, the borough will send out another email.
Yes.
All right.
They bring up some code requirements too that are a little less obvious but still applicable to the situation. The mayor mentioned that you're supposed to clear 36 inches of a sidewalk that's abutting your property. If it's a corner property, that's both frontages. If there is a crosswalk, you're supposed to clear that crosswalk for pedestrians to be able to go through the crosswalks. If there is a drain or if there's a fire hydrant, you're supposed to make sure that that's clear. It is declared a nuisance for you to throw snow into the streets, so find a better way of piling it, not in the streets. And it's against the borough code to use chairs or something to reserve parking spaces as
This is
well.
not Philly.
So,
It's really like,
We're close to Philly, but we're not Philly.
so those are all requirements of the borough code as well.
So if I could add some, since we're talking about snow, because that was part of my manager's report too, and thank you. You've all hit on everything that I was going to hit on. I just wanted to illustrate or reiterate that don't throw snow into the street. Please, don't do it, because it is extra work for Public Works to then go push it back to where you threw it from. Our code does say that you residents are to remove snow and throw it onto your property. It does say that. And if we have, 5 feet of snow like Buffalo, and there is no more room to throw it on your property, you are permitted to pile it next to the curb on the sidewalk. But it does not go into the street.
Let's hope we don't get, I can't remember the last time we got several feet of snow.
I'm not wishing that on anybody.
And also portable basketball hoops are supposed to be brought in if there's one out on the curb that could
Good
impair
point.
plowing. That's also in the code, that it's supposed to be moved in when a snow emergency is declared.
And our parking enforcement officer will be in bright and early, and we will be enforcing this one.
Okay.
Ticket basketball hoops?
We do. Instructions.
and will there be extra enforcement now that we have that new parking ordinance for businesses or residents who are using the street to kind of store cars while they work on them?
I mean, that's in place,
A John String,
Yep, that's an
Comment.
enforcement, yep.
okay.
snow or no snow, that's what it is.
And do we have
Particularly-
any dumpsters that are currently being used on the street
I believe so.
for construction right
I
now?
believe
Okay.
so. No dumpsters in the entire borough?
On street?
On the street.
On the street.
Sure.
Most people put.
If there are, I mean, I don't,
I don't think we
We'll
can
have to
spend
work
that
around
many
it.
on short notice.
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll
I
work
mean,
around the dumpsters.
Okay.
All right, moving back again to the consent agenda. Someone like to make a motion?
Move to adopt the consent agenda items for approval A through C.
Is there a second?
Sure, I'll say.
Okay, seconded by Mike. Any discussion?
Kind of a question.
Yes?
I'm sure this is just for my own learning process, but in the F&A meeting we just concluded, the total we had was for a different amount.
yep, I was gonna actually explain that.
Oh,
So,
excellent.
the F&A, that amount was wrong. I just verified the correct amount on, the business agenda amount is the correct amount, so.
Okay,
I just wanted to note that, but you beat me to it.
oh, good.
So, yeah, the 251.52 amount is correct. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. All right, let's vote on the consent agenda. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda? Okay, it's unanimous. Let's move to our one consideration item, appointment.
I move to consider the appointment of Charles O'Kane to fulfill a vacancy of the Environmental Advisory Council, term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Michael. Any discussion? So Mr. O'Kane was in touch with the chair of the EAC and attended the meeting last night, and seems very enthusiastic and excited about joining the EAC. Now, I think we still have one more empty space, or one more vacancy beyond this one, so if anybody else is interested in working on environmental role in the borough, there's still a vacancy.
I just want to add a couple of things too. He did want to be here tonight and he was planning on attending, but he had something with work that he couldn't miss. And he's excited for the board. He had also expressed interest in planning commission. If you note his application, I think it said planning commission. But he said that he would serve on both, and I figured, because EAC is down 2 members, their need is greater right now than Planning Commission, because they're just seeking an alternate member. So he said that he'd be happy to serve on EAC. So, okay.
Any other
Thank you to Mr. King for stepping up.
That's right. Thanks as always to our volunteers on all our boards and commissions, and in particular to Mr. O'Kane. Okay, let's vote on appointing Charles O'Kane to the Environmental Advisory Council, term expiring December 31st, 2024. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, well, that concludes our business. Do we have Mr. Bresci here for an update?
I don't see him,
Okay.
nor did he confirm. So
Does he know it's 7?
that's what I was thinking.
All right. Who would like to get the thank you so much?
I was gonna do it, and then I'll get my manager's reports next, so.
Okay, so let's move him to after the manager's report in case he decides to. If he was befuddled by the time change as well. I feel better if it's not just me. That's all. Mr. West.
Thank you. Trash. It's week 3 of the new contract, and it's going well. There's some wrinkles that we're still trying to iron out. Just some odd things that are unique to Narberth that we don't remember until we have a change in trash hauler. Like, oh yes, we forgot about this one. But we've been working with our trash hauler to work things out. And just thank you to Jeff Eldon, who has been the staff representative and the intermediary with coordinating with our new trash hauler. Just as a public service announcement, reminder, trash will be switching from Friday to Tuesdays starting February 1st. So we'll put that out in newsletters and the flash also, but I wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that that's coming in February.
Yeah.
Well, February
6 or
1st
7.
is a Thursday, right?
Yes,
So it's the first full week of February.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
6.
February 6th is
So in
Tuesday.
February.
Yep.
That following Tuesday will be.
Look at the schedule that they have sent out to everyone. Thank you. Parking. Just wanted to let the council know that staff met this week to review the updates to the 2-hour zones that are supposed to be enacted as of July 1st. Just from a staff deployment status, we're going to start meeting monthly to talk about what we need infrastructure-wise and deployment-wise. So we started that this week, going well. Narberth Avenue Bridge, I continue to meet every 2 weeks with the project team. We are still awaiting a response from Amtrak regarding the construction agreement. Since it is Amtrak's right-of-way, we are at Amtrak's mercy. I've also asked our project manager, Panoni, to attend the February 1st work session meeting with council to provide an update, especially the updated cost estimates, which are rather large. Right?
Well, I mean, a timeline would also be good.
Yeah.
That's
Updated
just-
timeline and cost. They will be prepared to discuss those things at the February 1st meeting.
And Matt, can we promote that to the community in some special way? Because I know I get questions all the time about that. I think that members would want to attend that meeting and let Panoni answer some of them.
Or we can just provide whatever Tony gives us to the community.
Yeah, I would like to update the bridge status on the newsletter, weekly newsletter, my many things that I need to do. It could use a refresh. It's hard to stay relevant when there's not a lot of activity. And so my opinion is that when you see something every week and nothing changes, you get desensitized.
Absolutely.
And so my suggestion
absolutely.
is to maybe do a monthly bridge report on the newsletter. So that'll give us an opportunity, if anything does change, it stays a little more relevant. So we'll be looking for that.
So Matt, I'm sorry, that was February 1st?
The February 1st, the work session
Yeah,
with
okay.
council. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good for people to be here in person. I get more questions about that, and in the 2 months I've been on council, more questions, what about the bridge, what about the bridge, what about the bridge? And they point out, it has said the same thing on the website for 6 months, so.
Because the same things are,
Yeah, I know,
Right,
that issue, I know.
this is like the perfect storm of every single bureaucracy involved in the project.
Yeah.
Every single one. There's every utility on that bridge.
Yeah.
It's over Amtrak and SEPTA. It's PennDOT. It's
Don't
everybody.
forget Norfolk Southern.
Yeah, right, Norfolk.
And forgot.
Norfolk Southern
Yeah.
too. So, there's no wiggle room. They are so confined to, this is our process, and it's really difficult for us to expedite that, so. The borough had a bid opening for the 80 Windsor Avenue roof superstructure that was through infrastructure committee.
Tell me we got more than one bid.
We did get more than one bid. We got 100% more. We had 2 bids. We're not pleased. It was beyond it was well beyond our estimates. And so we don't know what the best course of action is yet. And so we're going to be talking about it at infrastructure committee meeting on Monday. I've asked Nick Cirilli from Yerkes and the structural engineer, John, to be here to discuss it and answer questions and identify other opportunities that we can do and discuss, do we reject the bid? Then there's if we reject the bid, the way construction costs are going right now, chances are they will be higher. It's a difficult conversation to have. And so I am not prepared to have that conversation with council now. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we will be discussing it at the infrastructure committee meeting, and we'll have the professionals there to discuss next steps.
What's our deadline on accepting and rejecting the bid?
I believe the bid said that we would make a decision, council would make a decision February 1st.
Okay.
So we had it scheduled
Next
for that
meeting.
work session.
All right.
And by that time, we'll have a better understanding and provide more guidance to council on what our recommendations are. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
And word from Todd, he didn't hop on there by any chance?
No.
So
We try calling him?
I'll try, I'll step out.
Sorry, we're
It's not
gonna,
like him to not
give him
respond
one
to
more
my
minute.
email too.
He might have just assumed it was at 7:30
He
and
usually
planned
gets in here at
accordingly.
7:30 or a little after.
Yeah.
All right.
All of the other reports have been submitted and are included in the meeting packet. I'm trying to stretch it out here.
Sure. Well, I was noticing with the trash that there was like quality control trucks going around that
Yes.
weren't doing pickup. They were just going to
Yes.
make sure that it had been picked up and that everything
So-
was under control.
Hats off to JP Mascaro. I've got to give them some kudos in that I heard firsthand from a resident who was frustrated about trash being missed. And trash was missed by Republic for like their last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
They would never show up, we didn't get it. And we forwarded that to JP Mascaro. They got it right away, and the site supervisor went and knocked on that person's door and apologized. Like, that kind of service. So that goes a long way. And so much so
Apologize
that
for the last guy.
Yeah, not even, it wasn't their
Apologize for
fault.
the previous
Yeah.
company, whatever.
well, because they missed it too.
Oh, they know.
Yeah, Mascaro missed it too. Like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry it won't happen again. And so, the feedback that we got from residents was that they really appreciated that personal touch and taking ownership over it, and they're on it. So, hats off.
Likewise, there was an incident the first week where they skipped Brynwood Manor, which is often skipped since it's a quiet, private road that people don't even know is there. I called them, they were there that afternoon.
And if anybody has tested the missed trash collection number, which I did, you get a real person who's located in Bridgeport. Which is a big change
an upgrade.
from Republic.
Yeah.
Should have them bring Susie Joe Rose, they're gonna say.
I do appreciate the expanded recycling too.
Yeah, actually, that's worth
Plastic
mentioning.
bags and
Some
whatnot
people
that are
asked
sitting
about whether the recycling was on the same, like whether they could start the new recycling now, somebody asked online. And I was like, yes,
Yes.
do it now, it doesn't, the schedule change has nothing to do with the recycling, you can throw it all in.
No time.
All right, so we've got no word from Todd. Matt, do you want to give us a quick update? Do you feel up to that, or should we just?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't want to get into.
Give us 5 minutes here about 2:30 Howard.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to tread into the Planning Commission and HARB's domain. I can kind of give you the 10,000-foot view. It's gone through one cycle of Planning Commission and HARB. There was some really good feedback. There was an unofficial staff level meeting today with representatives from 230 and Planning Commission and HARB that went really well. They are listening, the developers are listening and are integrating improvements into the plan that were generated from Planning Commission and HARB. What I would like to talk about with council is that on February 15th, the conditional use is scheduled to start here, and that's a function of this body. And so the schedule that I've worked on developing with borough staff, and solicitor, engineer, code enforcement, and planning commission was that we've set a schedule for planning commission and HARB to discuss, most focused on conditional use application for their February meetings. Because that's something that this body, there's a timeline on that, and we need to get that underway. The discussions on preliminary and final, that can wait until March. Not saying that we can't talk about it in February, but I really want the focus to be on conditional use. Focus in on that, hone in on that, and if there's time left over, if Planning Commission is satisfied and can make some recommendations to council, then sure, they can start talking about the preliminary final design. I just reiterated that with the development team today, just so we were all on the same page. February 15th, that's the day that we're going to be here listening to their conditional use application. And then that will help us define what happens with the preliminary final approval. If there's anything that Solicitor Walker would like to add to that.
I think it's important to keep in mind what is really necessary for the conditional use approval and what is more deferred to land development. Conditional use approval will mainly focus on the green building aspects that were recently enacted into the code, which provide them, assuming they fulfill that criteria, to get the additional height on their use. So I would imagine they're going to be focusing on that express criteria established in the code for that green building criteria. Other items related to sort of general design, the site improvements, all those items are important, but those are going to be more important and considered and would be the subject to any future preliminary final plan approvals. And I will do a memo to council just do an overview of what a conditional use hearing is and what the council's role is, because in that hearing you will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body. So it's important, like any judge, to remain impartial and hear what is presented by the applicant, and based upon what is presented, see if there's any conditions that you believe need to be imposed in order to ensure that application is developed as they represent. Again, I'll follow up the memo on that.
And that's something that you control in the meeting, right? When we go to that conditional use hearing,
sure,
you adjourn and then you run that part.
Yeah, I'll run the hearing, and there will be an opportunity, just like any hearing, for public comment. The applicant will be presenting witnesses that would support their application, probably providing expert testimony. And council will have the opportunity to ask questions for those witnesses, and there will be an opportunity to discuss conditions as necessary to impose upon that use. But regardless, if there were no conditions, they still have to comply with the land development, the salvo, the zoning, and proceed through that process moving forward.
Is there something for the public to understand that process? Because I remember attending a conditional use hearing a couple of years ago, and like, I don't even remember what property it was for, but something fairly controversial. A million people showed up, and I remember there was a lot of need to sort of explain and massage so that the public understood the process that we were engaging in. Well, you guys, not me. I was in the audience.
I think we can give the summary at the beginning of next week's next month's meeting as well.
Yeah, and I would anticipate that the Planning Commission's review will help focus what they're looking at is also what council should be looking at.
And the planning commission meetings are all available online so that people can get a general gist of what we're thinking and what some of the concerns were ahead of time.
Yeah, the most recent special meeting was not concerning 230 Haverford, but they're meeting early this month. I forget the date.
Yeah, the first Monday.
First Monday, that meeting was almost entirely.
What was the date of that meeting so that people can,
The 11th, they met on the 11th, and they did not discuss anything having to do with 230 Haverford.
right,
That was
the one
Tuesday.
before it was,
On the 4th, or, on the
Third.
On the
Third.
3rd. January 3rd.
so if any members of the public want to get an initial gist of what was presented and some of the concerns that were raised, that would be a good meeting to watch.
And it is going to keep coming in front of planning commission for several more meetings.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other business for council? Comments for the good of council?
Please move your cars.
All right, we'll have an executive session after this meeting to discuss a personnel matter, a potential litigation matter not regarding 201 Sabine, and a potential sale of borough property. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Oh, we will not be returning to session, I don't believe, after the executive session. Motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning? Why are we? Okay. All right.
I second.
It's unanimous, we are adjourned.